Alright, after the last video, a lot of people said they actually liked these Reddit stories. So naturally, I found another one that somehow gets more painful the longer it goes on. And honestly, this story genuinely annoyed me in the most frustrating way possible. I'm just in a fresh, hardcore Minecraft world right now. And while I do that, I found this absolutely insane post on Reddit from r/BestofRedditorUpdates. And it's about a woman who spent 7 years building a future with her boyfriend, only to discover he secretly believed she was using him the entire time. And somehow, it gets worse the more he explains himself. Let's begin. According to the post, the woman originally moved to the US from Indonesia around 7 years ago. She came for grad school, didn't know many people, didn't really have family around, and like most international students, she was trying to survive in a completely unfamiliar country while figuring life out at the same time. A few months after moving, she met the guy who eventually became her boyfriend. And honestly, from the way she described him, he sounded perfect at first. Supportive, patient, thoughtful. The kind of person who makes difficult years feel manageable. Back then, she barely had money. Grad school was expensive, stressful, and apparently there were moments where she genuinely didn't know how she was going to manage financially. And according to her, he helped her constantly. He bought groceries when she was struggling, let her stay with him rent-free during one of her hardest years so she wouldn't need more student loans, let her borrow his car for interviews. Little things that slowly become massive acts of love over time. And naturally, she never forgot any of it, which honestly makes the ending way worse. Now, early into the relationship, they had a serious conversation about the future. Not marriage immediately, but eventually. She made it clear she didn't want a relationship with no direction. She wanted marriage someday, kids someday, a real future. And according to her, he completely agreed. He told her he loved her, told her he absolutely saw a future together. So naturally, she trusted him for 7 years. Now here's where things slowly start becoming painful. After grad school, her career absolutely exploded. She worked in STEM, moved into management, and eventually started making close to $300,000 a year. Meanwhile, her boyfriend worked as a teacher, making around $60,000. But according to her, she genuinely never cared about the income difference. If anything, she appreciated him even more because he supported her before she became successful. So once she started earning more, she naturally handled most of the household expenses. Not because she looked down on him, but because in her mind, that's what partners do. You support each other, especially after someone helped you through your hardest years. And apparently, that's exactly where the relationship quietly started falling apart. Not for her, for him. Because while she thought they were building a stable life together, he was secretly becoming more and more insecure about the salary difference. And according to the update, his friends made things infinitely worse. They constantly mocked him for earning less than her, calling her his sugar mommy, making jokes about how she was the real provider. And instead of shutting those comments down immediately, he internalized all of it for years without properly communicating any of it to her. Now, before this gets worse, if you're enjoying the story so far, subscribe real quick. Seriously, most people watching these videos aren't subscribed yet, and it genuinely helps the channel a lot. Alright, back to the emotional damage. Fast forward to the present. Her company suddenly announced there was a chance her department could get outsourced, which became terrifying because she was living in the US on an H-1B visa, meaning if things went badly, she could potentially lose her ability to stay in the country. And naturally, after 7 years together, marriage became part of the conversation. Not because she planned the relationship around immigration, but because after nearly a decade together, marriage already felt like the obvious next step anyway, at least to her. So during their anniversary dinner, she finally brought it up seriously. She asked if maybe now was the right time to think about marriage, and according to the post, his reaction instantly felt wrong, like genuinely alarming. She said he looked physically sick, like he was about to throw up, and after pushing him to explain what was wrong, he finally admitted the truth. He told her he didn't want to marry her until she already had permanent residency, because he was afraid she was using him as what he literally called a visa mule. Yeah, that was the actual phrase he used. And honestly, reading that line genuinely hurt. Because imagine hearing that after 7 years together. 7 years, living together, supporting each other, planning a future together, and somehow, he still secretly believed she might have manipulated the entire relationship just to stay in the country. According to her, she genuinely couldn't process what she was hearing. Not even anger immediately, just disbelief. Because what hurt most wasn't even the marriage issue itself. It was realizing that after all those years, he still didn't trust her character. And honestly, the craziest part of the entire story, financially, she never even needed him. She made significantly more money than he did, had savings, investments, career stability. If anything, she was the financially secure one in the relationship, which made the entire accusation feel even more insulting. Eventually, after taking a few days to process everything, she met him again to talk properly. And this is where the story somehow becomes even more depressing, because apparently, he finally admitted the real issue had nothing to do with immigration. It was his insecurity. He admitted he hated earning less than her, hated feeling like she was more successful, hated feeling like he wasn't the provider. And over time, those insecurities completely poisoned the relationship in his mind. She even suggested couples therapy, which honestly sounded reasonable after 7 years together. But according to her, he refused immediately, because in his mind, he wasn't wrong. And then he said something that basically killed the relationship instantly. He told her there was no fixing things unless she quit her high-paying job and found another one that paid substantially less. Yeah, seriously. And according to the Post, that was the exact moment she emotionally checked out. Because supporting someone through insecurity is one thing. Destroying your own future to protect someone's ego is something completely different. And honestly, if you've made it this far into the video, hit the like button real quick, because this might genuinely be one of the most frustrating relationship stories I've read in a while. So, eventually, they broke up, after 7 years together, and apparently even his own family was shocked because they genuinely thought he was going to propose soon. Meanwhile, she moved into an Airbnb temporarily while figuring out her next steps. But then the story suddenly shifts in a completely unexpected direction. Her company offered her a similar role based in France. Slightly lower pay, but a chance to completely restart her life somewhere new. And according to her, she accepted almost immediately, because after everything that happened, staying in the US no longer emotionally felt right anymore. And honestly, the final line of her update probably explains the entire story perfectly. She said, "I thought we were building a future together. I didn't realize he was quietly competing with me the entire time." And yeah, that line genuinely stays in your head after reading the whole thing. Because sometimes relationships don't end because of cheating, or betrayal, or abuse. Sometimes they end because one person quietly lets insecurity destroy something good from the inside. Final question. If someone secretly resented your success for years instead of communicating honestly, would you ever be able to trust them again?